My fellow Amazonians, this is Dr. Cho Ayaba. In the past few days, a couple of things have happened that I think I should provide some clarification. This is very important because a day is critical in terms of the direction that our people might decide to go to. A day is important. We are engaged in a bloody struggle for our survival in the 21st century, where everybody has an opinion, and these opinions are fed to our people on a daily basis. They are exploited by the enemy, whose sole intention is to weaken the determination of our people, institute enough confusion in our struggle, and to exploit such confusion to continuously assert itself and to continue with the impunity, brutality, and exploitation that it has exercised over our people for close to 60 years. A few days ago, I read a write-up, an opinion piece where somebody was claiming that supposed diplomatic community has lost faith in our struggle. And the person pens down a couple of indicators as the foundation of that conclusion. My fellow Amazonians, this is what we must know. The indicators that we use to measure determination, to measure progress, are dynamic. They are selected by us, the Amazonian people, not by random individuals. I also said before, we will have ups and downs in our struggle. That is normal. In the South African resistance against apartheid, there were ups and downs. There were a couple of years that people thought the resistance was over. There were incidences that reignited the resistance. South African resistance was over 50 years. In a struggle like ours, and in most liberation struggles, those who initiated the fight sometimes give up. Some join the enemy. Some begin publicly to question the rationale for which people resist and for which people give up their life for. These are normal occurrences. You find in different situations where an entire population or a village stood for the resistance. They become tired. They are instrumentalized by the enemies inside and by the enemies outside to rise up against the struggle like we saw in Oko the other day. This is normal. We will see such occurrences many times. There will be times when diplomats will overtly question whether we are ready for independence. There will be times when they would overtly stand against us. Leaders will be killed. Some will be kidnapped. Some leaders will stand up against the struggle. These things happen in all struggles. But there is one thing that remains constant. The enemy's desire for punitive governance over an occupied territory remains a driving force why people resist. Whether it was Eritrea and Ethiopia, East Timor and in Indonesia, Algeria and the French, the occupier at no time comes to the conclusion that recognizing the occupier's right to existence and to be treated with dignity is relevant even for its own survival. And the reason why people prevail over their aggressors is because of the stupidity of their aggressors. As for the occupied people, they are humans. They will have fatigue. What also keeps them in line is leadership that is defiant, that understands that this is how struggles work, and is going to constantly inform, educate, and direct the people to a place they want to go to, but they find it difficult to get there. That is what happened in South Africa. Not only Mandela's imprisonment and his defiance in jail, but the ANC leadership in exile provided that leadership. It internationalized the South African struggle. It made it a global campaign for the black people. It constantly highlighted the punitive measures of the apartheid system on black South Africans. It aroused the moral consciousness of all peoples, black and white. In the East Timorese struggle also, the East Timorese leader was a moral conscience for the East Timorese people. Leadership is critical. All what you see in the Amazonian struggle, different experiments, regurgitation of failed approaches, is what happens in most struggles. But in some before us, people were unaware because there was no WhatsApp, no Twitter, no Facebook, where these things are screened live in real time. So while we take advantage of the social media era in propagating and educating and informing, we must also be conscious of the negatives that come with a war of liberation fought in the full glare of a dynamic social media era. I said yesterday to commanders, we shall never contemplate Amazonia. It shall never coexist with Cameroon. What we saw in Oku is unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and the Amazonian population must understand that this struggle is not only about them. This struggle is about kids who are unborn yet. This struggle is also about those who've given their lives for it. And any village, any individual who allows themselves to be instrumentalized by the enemy, be they foreign or domestic, you're doing so at your own risk. We ask our commanders, our brigades, to treat the population with respect. But this is not a struggle only for our brigades. This is a struggle for every Amazonian. This is a struggle for civilians too. Those who can make Molotov cocktails, those who can dig trenches, those who can stop tanks. We saw it in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. A single individual standing to stop a column of tanks. We've seen it in Ukraine. The people of Poland fought in the trenches, civilians and military, conscript and regular soldiers. For 60 years, we've been indoctrinated, intoxicated. We have been educated to believe in shortcuts, to believe in appeasement, deceit, manipulation, corruption. That has been the mantra upon which Amazonians have built their life, and those easily crumble. The foundation for liberation struggles must be built on the truth, on a philosophy, on an ideology, on a strategy, on accountability, on character. Because these are the attributes that people glue up to. They glue to. These are the attributes they look up to. Things might be tough, but the resilience and character of the leaders or the spokesperson who speak for them will be as an example that will live through time and space. Accountability is critical, whether it's political or financial. People depart from corrupt and oppressive systems to establish accountable and transparent systems. And if they cannot make a distinction between where they are running from and where they are running to, they got stuck in the middle, or they walk back to where they are running from. Our commanders must recruit more soldiers. Amazonian population must invest more, must sacrifice more. We have sacrificed. It's not enough. That the enemy's tanks can still drive through our cities and burn our villages. That they can murder 3 of ours and still walk right into the mortuary to determine whether how we mourn them is a sign of our weakness. And that we can spend countless hours politicizing the struggle, setting up useless structures, regurgitating failed strategies, tribalizing the struggle, shows clearly the amount of damage Cameroon did to our psyche and to our being as a people and as humans. This struggle wasn't meant to be easy. But let me send this warning. Any village groups of people will rise up to attack our forces in the line of fire will be treated as enemies. Will be treated as enemies. We have communicated to soldiers to establish within controlled areas, whether they are dynamic or static, prototype civilian administrations that can look into grievances, find solutions with our support. We must conduct ourselves as patriots, as nationalists, and to know that we are not allowed to do the bidding of the enemy. We are not allowed to put our frontline defenders in harm's way. No matter what they have done, we look into everything they do. We take measures to mitigate the effect of some of their actions on the coercion of our resistance. But it is unacceptable that the regime is going to instrumentalize populations in certain areas. Totally unacceptable that 4 or 5 years into this war, with thousands of villages burned down, thousands of our people killed, thousands of others languishing in jail, families still mourning the loss of their loved ones, that there are still cities that don't respect our Monday ghost towns, that there are still people who contemplate for 1 second to march to barracks to threaten those who've been in the bushes defending our freedom for the past 5 years without pay. The sacrifices our soldiers make has a psychological impact on them, on every soldier across the globe who's fought wars, knows the impact of the constant sounds of bullets and machine guns. And you don't expect these men to act as rational people all the times under the pressure under which they've been fighting. And instead of joining them and reducing their burden, we act as though this struggle is theirs. And that we are bystanders to make our decision whether we stand for or against at any time, given time in our lives. Amazonians must realize what is at stake. That this is not only a struggle for what is to be, but it's also a struggle of memory of those who've paid the ultimate price those who continue to pay that price with deprivation of their liberty, who haven't seen their loved ones, who haven't lived a normal life for so many years, undignified, under inhuman and degrading conditions in the jails of the enemy, the thousands who haven't been at homes, the thousands who haven't gone to schools. It is for them. It is for the memory of the lost ones. It's for the future of those unborn. And those alive today have a responsibility to rise up and fight. Everywhere you are is a battlefield against Cameroon, against anyone, foreign or domestic, who in any way, form or shape is an obstacle to our march to freedom. The life we've lived for 50 years has been miserable, uncertain, and hopeless. We've had several battles in our lives against Cameroon. We've lost some, we've won some. This war has been shaped by the battles that we have won and by the battles that we have lost. The bravery of the men and women who have sacrificed, who fought great battles, giving us hope and recognition for the first time as a people. It is their inspiration that still drives this vessel forward. It's their determination that keeps us 24 hours awake. It is the collective desire of our people to be free. There will be bad weeks, bad months. But be rest assured, Ambazonia shall never coexist with their butchers, with their torturers, with those who rob them of dignity. As I said before, it is a battle village by village, block by block. And our valiant soldiers have demonstrated their ability, making incursions into enemy territory, coming back, being able to retrieve their dead comrades whose bodies are exposed as trophies of the enemy, bury them with our flag, singing their anthem. This is the kind of bravery that we want to see. Not cheap propaganda from instrumentalized tribalist villagers who march to our barracks. Our commanders must be on their alert. Enemies comes in all forms and shapes. They must know you are the defenders, frontline defenders of our freedom. And there is no shake in a day. We must be brave. It will be a battle till the bitter end. And we have vanquished the occupier. We have humiliated them internationally. We've made them an almost international pariah. We have shown them who is boss on the ground. We must continue to arm our people. That's what is required. Not some politicized junkies on a daily basis to feed our egos, to feed our entitlements without anything to show for. International disgrace to a brave people who have stood up on the same spot patriots before them fell. God bless you all.